This is Kathy Mingo, I'm Claire Broad. Just one moment, we're trying to sort everything out here technically. So, I should be able to see it on here. There we are. Okay.
Oh, I moved and I didn't.
No, that's okay. So the comments, we will receive comments, they'll just come up a bit later.
Right, okay.
Right, let me just turn that down. We don't want to hear us.
So for mine at the back, I've had to put you back, but I am videoing it from my YouTube channel with a big camera over here. So we're going to roll with this.
Yeah. So I'll start then. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here for this Facebook Live event or on the internet and on YouTube. Both Kathy and I have our own channels and our own Facebook pages. So we want to welcome all of you for joining us here. It's lovely to have you with us. Kathy and I came up with the idea of doing this event together because where can you go normally where you... Hi, Graydon! Where can you go normally where you can chew over the fat with other mediums and discuss what they're getting from the spirit dimensions and higher intelligence in a way where you can actually learn something a bit deeper than what you perhaps may see generally on the TV with mediums giving messages from loved ones. Both Kathy and I are really interested in what consciousness is, what human potential is, what reality is, and so we really connect well in that way. Plus, I love the fact that Kathy is so grounded, normal.
Well, I don't know about that, but...
Yes, another honest medium.
Another honest, sure. Very desperately honest.
Yeah, but I love that. We want honesty, don't we, in this? We don't want any fluff. We just want to be able to chew it over, disagree, debate with compassion and trust. Yep. So let me just introduce Kathy properly. She's had 20 years experience as a spirit practitioner. I'm going to ask her to talk about how she got into it in a minute, and Kathy's going to do the same for me. And then as your questions come in, we'll answer them, and we'll also share the reasons or the information that we want to kind of share with you all for free here to help educate and raise consciousness.
Yes, and our awareness of consciousness.
Absolutely.
I just want to wave to my lot that are at the back.
Yes, hello. We've got two cameras going on here. We've got my Facebook Live, Kathy's Facebook Live, and we've got YouTube gear set up. So it's interesting. So I can say hi, Gabby. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Wanda. I can see all these messages.
Hello, everyone. Hi.
We're just, while you're all building up, there's Ali. And Karen, there's lots of you, it's fabulous, brilliant. Okay, so then whilst you're all joining us here, let me then start with Kathy. I'd love Kathy to share with you how she got into mediumship, although she doesn't like to call it that, channeling, or what do you like to call it? I'm going to find out.
Yeah.
Because it's a great story and I just love hearing people's true accounts. So please welcome Kathy Mingo.
Hi everyone, and hi my group at the back. So I don't call myself a medium, technically. I'm a channel. I work through the aura, so I cleanse the aura. I've never done Facebook Live this way around, so I don't know where to look, but it's interesting actually, as you start to focus on us, you might start to see the aura because of the black background, but we can talk about that later. So I started my journey to mediumship. I was a past life regression therapist through hypnosis, but I was also medium psychic, but I didn't call myself that. So where I was working at Quest in Youghal, I don't remember that, many years ago, the medium hadn't shown up that morning, so they're in a bit of a tie. So they said to me, would you do a reading? Never done it before, and I went, absolutely, but like you do. And all I knew was that I needed my client to lie down. So clients with me, they get to lie down and I go through the aura. So this bloke came in, laid down, lovely man. And I was saying to him, you've got pins in the back of your neck, all the way down your spine, shoulders, all in the head. And he went, Kathy, I haven't. And I wouldn't have it. I kept saying, no, but you have. And he went, Kathy, I would know or not. So anyway, it didn't matter. I bought for his grandfather, blah, blah, blah. And the irony is 48 hours later, he was hit by a truck. Oh. I shouldn't laugh, sorry. It's fine. We can laugh now. So yeah, and everywhere where I said he'd had pins was exactly where that had occurred. And the next time he came to see me, he was in one of those head halos.
Oh my goodness.
And he
came back.
He came back. We're not laughing, we're friends now. So, and after that I thought, there's something in this. Yeah. I'm sceptical by nature, as I know
yes, I am.
you are as well. So it was interesting that the future, if that's what we want to call it, was
And it didn't freak you out then? Because that would
No.
You liked it.
Yeah.
Well, because I suppose that's just in your face proof, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you get information like that, you're not going to doubt, are you?
No. I mean, obviously, I didn't mean to laugh. However, it was macabrely funny.
Well, and I also think that sometimes the spirit world do things like that, or spirit dimensions, whatever you want to call it, do things like that to like get your attention.
Yeah, that got his.
Yeah, well, and yours.
And mine, yeah.
Because if you were meant to be doing this work, you can't ignore that,
No,
can
can't
you?
ignore it.
No?
Can't ignore it.
Amazing.
So yeah, that was my first soiree into mediumship. And
yes, and you can see how good Kathy is, because my first introduction to learning how to do mediumship, all I saw was a bald head, and some lovely person who I was training with took it. So it's taken me a little longer. But shall I show you how I got into it?
Because I've known you. Oh.
Yeah, well, I think
a while. We've known each other a while.
I know exactly how long it is.
Do you?
I do, because you were phenomenally accurate about. You gave me some healing, and you talked about a trauma that I'd had in my womb.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I had a trauma in my womb because I'd had a really traumatic birth with my first child, Emily, who is 12. So I've known you 10 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, holding on. Time flies. There's no such thing as time.
No, time does not exist.
That's it. Exactly. So yes, but many of you will know my page, but for Kathy Mingo's followers, my introduction really started young. I was 4. I was standing in Richmond Cemetery in London with my mum and my nan. Yeah. And I was bored because I was 4. Yeah. And there was a tap and some water and some stones there, and a vase. So I basically started playing with all of that. And I suppose because I'd completely switched off, I'm just present. Yep. My granddad's spirit just engulfed me in love. I just felt him there. And because I was so young, and because I had no concept of death, or the emotional maturity to understand that my nan needed that message, I just accepted it. And I heard him say, Claire, tell Nanny Grandad says I love you, Ive. Yeah. Now, I did not know, and didn't know till later, my nan always went by the name of Connie. I didn't know she was Ivy. I didn't know her as Ivy. Okay. And my parents called her Mum and I called her Nanny. Yeah. So when I eventually stood up and said this to my nan, she was shocked. Because, well, anyway, what 4-year-old says that? Exactly. But also because she knew I'd called her the name that he called her. No one else was calling her that. Yeah. So that was my first introduction. But I grew up very, very normal, I like to think. Yeah. Well, I was having quite a lot of experiences. But as I look back, they were just in the context of normal life. I just accepted them.
Yeah, it's natural, isn't it? It's
exactly.
A natural state of being.
And so many of us have these experiences, and we brush them under the carpet, and we don't own them, and we keep it quiet for fear of looking crazy. And it wasn't until it's a long story, so I don't want to go on, but it wasn't until I got to 20 that I started actually developing.
Okay, me too, around that. Because I lived in America, I was a nanny for Lynn McTaggart, so my consciousness connection, if anyone knows who she is, she wrote The Field. So fantastic. I was brought into synchronicity with Lynn McTaggart, so another long story that I won't bore you with. But so I was developing in America my past life regression as well.
Wow.
So
and fancy being a nanny for Lynn McTaggart.
I know.
I know. Don't you find this is where the intelligence is just phenomenal?
Yeah, the divine plan.
Absolutely. For sure. And like you always said, they always get what they want.
Always. We can put our feet down and go, no, not doing that.
Yeah. And Kathy has been so accurate in the things that she's told me in the past. There aren't many mediums that I really put my full trust in as a medium. It's terrible to say, but even mediums are highly sceptical and doubt. But the information you've given has just been phenomenal. And you were the one, as I wrote in my book Answers from Heaven, who told me that the spirit world wanted me to write for them. You told me when it would happen, you told me how it would happen. Just absolutely what you're saying, there's a bigger intelligence here, and we have no clue, really.
No clue.
I'm seeing some of the comments coming up.
I can't read
here.
them, I haven't got my glasses
don't worry. Well, what I'm seeing is that
Lynn McTaggart, great, just read. bit late.
Well, that's Sam Munro. She's saying she's read,
hi, Sam.
Yep, she's saying she's read Lynn McTaggart. She's late to it, but she's there.
It's a hard read.
I also seen another comment on there. So I do apologise, can't see the name anymore. But she's saying she can see orbs of dust going past. Orbs, or is it dust? She's saying,
is it dust or is it orbs?
Yeah, she's asking, did anyone else see it?
Okay.
Obviously we didn't.
No.
But it'd be nice to know if anyone else did. Hi everyone, I can see you all still joining. Hello to Kathy's crew as well. It's fabulous to have you here. So there's a little introduction really into the two of us.
Yeah, and Claire, I lost my Siamese cat. So I did a charity event and Claire so willingly came along and did platform with me. It was the first time we've done it together.
Yeah.
It was fabulous.
It was.
But it was for charity, so that's always stayed with me.
Oh, well, anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime. The thing is, I think, and Kathy agrees, I know because we've had this conversation, you know, too many times ego gets in the way.
Yeah.
We need to come together as practitioners, stand together, because so many people don't even believe in this anyway.
No.
And give each other a knee up and support each other, because at the end of the day, we need to come together to bring this message out to the world. John Thorpe saying, I can see a white orb pass above your heads. Oh, fascinating.
Well, we did have trouble with the camera while we were setting up. So I think there's probably a lot of spirit energy. It's very hot in here, which for me is sometimes spirit coming closer.
Yeah, I like that.
I might, if we have time at the end, just to show you how to see aura.
Yeah, do.
Because the black background is fabulous.
Perfect for it, isn't it?
But yeah.
And also the other thing is, I must just mention, Kathy is phenomenal. I don't know how she does it, but when she's doing her aura sensing and healing, I have witnessed with my eyes crystals moving independently across the floor. So anything can happen there, because there's a bit of physical mediumship involved too.
Yep.
So,
telekinesis, I think, isn't it? Is that right? Telekinesis?
Well, it is telekinesis. Or is it? You know, telekinesis is when objects move independently with probably through the mind of a person.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's not spirit contact necessarily. Telekinesis is coming through a person, a living agent.
See, because I think the crystals move because the energy is
coming through the human.
Maybe, yeah. So the same thing. I think we need to rewrite some of our verbiage with some of this.
Yeah, definitely.
Because spirituality is moving on.
Yeah, and this brings us perfectly on to why we wanted to come together. Because both Kathy and I are very interested in the science. We are both very sceptical. So for both of us, it wasn't enough just to have these experiences and not logically understand them. We needed to explore all the avenues and try and find out, okay, we're getting this information, it's proven itself to be accurate. Now, what does that mean? What is reality?
What is reality?
Exactly. And Kathy seems to be able to, has got a very academic brain, I think. I mean, I know you don't think
Not
you
at
do.
school, but I love quantum physics and quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
I think it's starting to actually be proven that spirit exists in the way that we think it does.
Absolutely.
And it's all about perception, isn't it? And
it
thought.
is.
Yeah.
It is. So we're really on the same page here. So if I just talk a little bit about the scientists that I've met, and then you talk about what you're doing, because Kathy's been channeling actual, if you like, scientific information, which is fascinating. And then we can share that with you, because I feel that the spirit world are drawing mediums and channelers. So if there's any of you out there that can concur with this too, drawing us closer together with the thought leaders in research and science, because I believe the two are coming together. So with the discovery of quantum physics and all of the knowledge that's out there with that now, science is changing its mind anyway as to what the nature of reality is. We can't string a single sentence together about consciousness scientifically.
No.
And so it's opening the door up to those scientists and researchers who are open-minded to explore what practitioners are saying they experience.
Yeah.
So for Kathy's audience and for anyone who doesn't know much about me...
Can I just... Sorry, 1 minute.
Of course.
Sue Porter. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I can't see you at the back, but hope you're enjoying it. Sorry,
we can't read all the comments.
We can't read the comments.
Over the back. We'll have to have a look. We'll get back to the comments we miss afterwards, so you won't get left out. So for Kathy's audience, I was fortunate to collaborate with Dr. Julie Beischel, who's from Windbridge Institute in the States, and has probably got the golden standard on scientific method on testing mediums right now. She's peer-reviewed, she's published, and you will always get your naysayers and cynics, but very few people have been able to actually pick apart her methods. So she was able to prove, working with mediums, even though she couldn't prove what she says is an afterlife, she was able to prove that the mediums she worked with weren't frauds. And that's huge, because I'm getting really bored with hearing the same things asked all the time. Can you prove it scientifically? So we got it here. How can you prove this scientifically? It'd be interesting to see this proved. You know. So actually, if you I can't see the name. I think it's Sally Williams. If you look into the papers published by Dr. Julie Beischel, you will see how she credibly proved that mediumship was not fraudulent in her studies. She's scientific, statistically outstripped chance so much with the way that she used the mediums and the information they give, that it went something ridiculous, like 3 trillion to 1 or something. I mean, it was something ridiculous. So can we prove an afterlife scientifically? I'm not so sure. Still out there at the moment in my thinking. But I do believe that we have got methods where we can definitely rule out fraudulence. We can. It certainly makes us question reality. Have we understood reality right? Psi, we absolutely can prove scientifically. It has been done. Psi is psychic ability.
Remote viewing.
Exactly.
Proven. All of it.
All of it. If you've heard the Star, oh God, it's gone out of my head. Star Project. It's the CIA. It's called
Project Blue Book.
No. It's
we
called...
won't get into that.
Oh, how can I... sorry, I've got a bit of a fluff there in my brain for a minute. But anyway, the remote viewing was proven with Russell Targ. And the CIA, and they've released their papers, work that they did with Uri Geller, actually, and proved scientifically psi. There's so many research papers that are out there now with regards to psychic ability.
I mean, the CIA said themselves that they took Native Americans from their tribal lands and used them for remote viewing because they knew that there was psychic ability. And Native Americans believe that if you've got long hair, the long hair is your psychic antenna. And that was their belief system. So the CIA, obviously, because they went into the army, they shaved all their hair off, all of these Native Americans, and they lost their ability.
Really?
Yeah.
So do you think
they had a belief system.
Yeah, they believed it, so they lost it. Okay. I'm trying to see the comments flashing up. I'm sorry, guys, we keep missing them at the moment because we're getting so engrossed, as I knew we would do.
Start with the book Surviving Death.
Okay, and there was something else there about tell us how you can prove mediumship and spirit scientifically. So
well, through quantum physics, so there's something called quantum entanglement. I'm not going to get boring. I could, because this is I'm a bit of a geek. This is my thing.
Go for it.
But so in quantum entanglement, if you've got a particle or a positron, which is a minute atom, and it's entangled with another, and it's blasted apart in space, billions and billions of miles apart. If one squashes down, the other particle or atom that it's linked with, even if it's billions of years or miles apart, squashes at the same time. And Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. So what it means is when we, I think, entangle energetically with something else or someone else, they remain.
Right.
So it's very interesting that you can, I believe that death is just a vibrational transition into light. Light and sound.
That's exactly how I experience it in the same way.
Yeah.
The communication comes to me in waves.
Okay.
So to me, I think, well, somehow there's waves involved in this, frequency. Light. And it's just energy at the end of the day. So we just transform from one form to another. There's so many of you out there that I can see are very clued up. This is great. So everybody else is learning from everyone, just even in the comments. So I'm loving this.
I can't see my comments at the back, but
I'm sure
we'll get to you.
I'm sure everybody is just as intelligent, if not more so. So
Well, it's not, actually it doesn't come
look.
down to intellect.
No, quantum entanglement, not boring, exciting. Yay!
Yay, someone!
Yeah. And Susan, Susan just saw another orb. Patricia is saying exactly what David Icke says. Oh, yes, I just saw an orb.
Oh, I missed
It just
that.
went down my shoulder here. Kathy loves David Icke, don't you?
I am a Nike fan. I don't go with all of it.
No,
but I do go with holographic universe. That
Absolutely.
Our whole universe is projected. That what we think is what we project, and that then creates our 3D matter, material life.
Absolutely.
It's a head one, that one.
It is. But when I wrote Answers from Heaven, I had physicists contact me telling me that they'd read the book, which surprised me because it was a light book. It was an introduction to all of this, because they knew the science was proving the universe was a holographic.
Yes.
We create hologram in nature,
and
that there are multiple realities, and so the question is, how does consciousness fit into that? And so they were reading these books, trying to see what it is that people are going through in order to understand their science more, open their minds. So this is how exciting it's getting, guys.
Very exciting.
And the cultural narrative is still one there of, oh, it's all a load of rubbish and mediums are all fraud and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But actually underneath all of this, there are some really exciting frontiers, isn't there?
Absolutely. And this is all on the subatomic particle level at the moment. But it's called microcosm, macrocosm. So everything that happens in the macrocosm, which is the bigger area, goes into the micro. So we are divine.
Oh yes, I like that.
We are divine.
And you're not religious.
I am not religious. I had someone very religious come to me. I do get that a bit.
Yeah.
And he went to me, prove it. And I went, well, obviously you believe in God. He went, yes, I do. I went, prove it.
That's the thing, isn't it?
This is the thing. We're asked to prove it, where the whole United States currency is printed on the fact that God exists.
Yeah. I mean, I love that saying, you know, you believe in tomorrow, prove it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's the same thing with spirit communication. There is something after. Yeah. We can't prove it.
No.
So me like you, I believe that you don't have to be religious to have a spiritual outlook, because consciousness can continue whether you've got a religious faith or not. And actually, me too, I've had both in spirit, lots of people from spirit coming who are from different faiths when they were here. Yeah. So exactly which religion would I pick? Because they all seem to be in the afterlife. And I've also read for vicars, a lot of Catholic people, because they already have this awareness and belief within them, and they come, but they're saying to me, I need the proof. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, I need proof.
So it's not enough just to have a faith. They want to be able to have an experience. That's the rub, isn't it? Have your own personal experience. Now, I want to say this. Both you and I totally don't want anyone to believe us. The purpose of this is to get you thinking and to go and explore for yourself. Yeah. We're not interested in converting you. We don't need you to believe what we're saying. No. We just want to spark a conversation and get you thinking.
And it is all about perception. This is my perception. Yeah. It's your perception. And everything in the universe is perception.
I couldn't agree
and
more.
the universe doesn't exist if we're not looking at it, which really, that is another... Won't go there.
But I'm here.
I know. At me. But we say, we're creating our 3D reality, but we're starting to go into beyond physics, which is even more mind-bending. So we're moving beyond 3D, so 3, 4, 5-dimensional time-space matrix, I suppose.
Yeah, God, that's when I get lost.
Yeah.
My brain is just, I love to hear it. Yeah. I love to think about it. And then I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah, no, it can.
I'll just shrink this back down to dead people moving on.
I would like to also say that in cultures past, like Sumerian, Babylonian, ancient Egyptians, death was a blessing. People look forward to their deaths. But we're taught here, especially in the West, I guess, that death is like, no one talks about it. We're not taught it as children that we're going to experience death. No. So when people die, it's this terrible shock.
Yeah. And you're left looking like, where have they gone?
Yeah, exactly.
The animating presence is gone. Yeah. And we've got no coping mechanisms because we keep our kids away from the dying. Yeah. And I agree. And I noticed that people that contact me, many of them have suffered with with grief, post-traumatic stress and depression because they haven't been able to, we haven't made dying okay.
No, we don't talk about it enough as well.
And it's not okay. It's like a failure. You know, we're in hospitals.
Exactly.
It's, I love that. Look, Tisha's saying death is a new beginning.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
There are more and more of us out there, aren't there, guys, who are opening up to this way of thinking.
Yeah.
Susan's saying, I'm not religious but have spiritual belief. Love to be able to have the knowledge you both have. Amazing. And Maggie's saying, I'm not scared of dying. Yay! This is what
I'm not scared of dying.
No,
either. I personally can't wait. I'm fine. I don't mean that. I'm enjoying my life exponentially, but I'm not. I want to experience my death so that my vibration goes into something else, something higher, hopefully, because I think we're in the changing time, especially on the planet right now, where we've got to, our consciousness has to raise.
Yeah, we
as
have
a
to
collective,
evolve.
all
Absolutely.
of us.
I think we will destroy ourselves if we don't evolve into our full potential.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what I find interesting about Kathy is she can take my understanding to a higher level almost, because as you're saying about perception, it's how you perceive your reality.
Yeah, it's my perception.
You know, we've had this conversation, but for the benefit of the viewers, my followers will know, but for Kathy's, I had a Native American spirit guide make himself known to me in my teenage years. Now, I have experienced him as a real being, and he has interacted in my life all the way through as a real intelligence in his own right.
Yeah.
But as we are sceptical, and as you're saying about perception, so many times I've questioned, is that higher self? Is it wishful thinking? What is going on? Is he real? You know, and I believe he really is. But I know you also have questioned, haven't you, about...
But real to us.
Yeah, real to us.
I'm going with the new theory.
Okay, go on, that's it.
So obviously I get spirit. I don't call myself a medium. I tell you, 80% of what I do is mediumship. People come to me for mediumship. I'd say 20% come for what I call higher channeling. So we talk to guides, multi-dimensional beings.
That's what I do.
All this sort of thing. But I'm starting to think, if it's a holographic universe we're living in and someone's passed, so their physical body has gone, but the subatomic particle essence of them still exists, am I tapping into a holographic memory that they have of themselves?
And I understand that, because I've often thought, is this just memory? Is there an imprint or energy left over?
Yeah, like an echo.
An echo, except that the communication that I receive is so current, and sometimes I know
in the future as well. Yeah.
And for instance, when my editor, the lovely Jo Lau, left Watkins recently, Spirit got a message through to me to let me know that this was going to happen, that I wasn't going to be on my own, because I knew it was going to shake me a little bit, because she was so great at what she did. Yeah. And reassured me it's time to go alone.
Yeah.
And different mediums were coming through telling me the same thing. Now, if that was just a memory, I wouldn't be getting that kind of interaction that was current. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I've got future and past effectively is the same thing.
Well, I do understand. I mean, this is where it's difficult.
I know.
I mean, Dr. Julia Mossbridge, who we're fans of, she's the world expert on time, and she tells me that time doesn't behave at all like we think it does.
Doesn't. It's not linear at all. It's apparently time goes in a kind of spherical system, but a sphere within a sphere. So it kind of like a torus. I don't know if anyone knows what a torus is. You can look at it online. It's a geometric shape that eats itself. But when it eats itself, it creates a new geometric shape.
Right. And Dr. Julia Mossbridge described it to me in a way that, you know, she actually had like a tea towel. She was holding the tea towel up. She was like, we think that time goes this way, linear. But actually it can do this. Yeah. It can flip around. Yeah. It could, you know, so it isn't, my head just wants to go. But I think we have to, this is where Kathy and I are coming together on, the old-fashioned idea, I think, of the fact that somebody dies, they move into another reality, this perfect world, they have this, you know, almost physical life in heaven, is limited in its understanding. Yes. So it's not that that's not true. and I don't want to upset anyone who's got that faith that their loved ones are in heaven and in spirit. I absolutely am still on board with all of that. It's just that we're widening our understanding, questioning what reality is, what is consciousness, how can it be that consciousness can go on, and not being arrogant enough to think that we know it all, that we understand, because we really don't.
I mean, Einstein said about the spooky action at a distance, his whole career, it was also with, I've forgotten his name, I've had a brain freeze.
Tesla?
No. There was someone that he was always in competition with about reality.
Okay.
And Einstein could never, to his dying day, he said that the one thing that he couldn't really settle with was the essence of reality and this spooky action at a distance. He wanted everything like that, where it was segmented and everything made sense.
Right.
Quantum physics, subatomic, it does not make sense
was it
to us.
You're talking about?
Yeah, Niels Bohr. Yeah.
So I never say his name.
Bohr.
Niels Bohr. Bohr. Okay, I believe my Indian chief is real. Most mediums, etc., receive either a native Indian Asian guide, as they're the most spiritual. Yeah, I agree. At the end of the day, to me, a spirit guide shows themselves in a way that is going to make sense to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And give a lesson.
Yes.
So spiritual people across time, Native Americans, nuns, Asian people, from Indian philosophies, deities, all that. I mean, this is the Buddhist monks, all that kind of thing, are the archetypal images that we receive, because they are basically coming with a knowledge about spiritual truths. So it makes sense they show themselves in that way.
Absolutely.
I don't believe, do you, that in spirit they take that form? Do they need to?
I don't know if they need to, but I think it's all about perception again. If I get a lot of Hindu clients, so they'll get in Kali or Parvati, or because that's their understanding of how energy wants to transmit its information.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
It is interesting.
I tell you what always fascinates me, it's when information comes to me that I had no clue about. Yeah. One night I was laying in bed and I was woken up out of my sleep. And there in front of me, now the thing is, I should just explain a bit of context here. I was trying to move home and it was all going to pot. And there in front of me was an image of Ganesha, the Indian deity. Now, obviously, I don't have any clue about Indian deities. I come from a Western culture. So I had to, and it was the most beautiful image. It was technicolour and real in strands of light. There was like lace white light threaded all through this, and Ganesha was totally technicolour with a magenta third eye gem there. And I was saying, what's that mean? Well, I have no clue what that means. So I was writing it down, drawing it, trying to remember it. And then I discovered afterwards, good old Google, that Ganesha is the remover of all obstacles. And that spirit were letting me know it's going to be okay. This move's going to happen. But I couldn't know that until after it happened. So I totally believe that these different archetypes have power, don't you?
Of course, absolutely. But we have power.
Absolutely. So we should give it away.
That's absolutely right. So I've had a lot of evidence. I mean, my partner Dee goes mad because I've had evidence beyond evidence. It's ridiculous, some of the evidence I've had. However, I still sometimes, my brain and my mind still goes, yeah, but am I going to die and that's it? And I still say it.
Same.
And Dee goes, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Oh, my mum says, Claire, with all the experience, personal experience, why are you listening to the people outside of yourself who say it's not true, and the materialistic viewpoint? I think it's natural. Do you know, it's sane. It's sane to question yourself.
But I say that my life when I'm communicating with spirit is real, and I'm living in the illusion as we speak.
Yeah, like waking up from a dream.
Yes.
Wow.
So this is all, Shakespeare said it, life's a play.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, how it really fundamentally is. I'm talking subatomic.
And so, when you talked earlier about the fact that often what you do is channel, higher intelligence.
Yes,
This is
higher
where,
energies, yeah.
Higher energy. This is where your forte really is. This is where, most of us are used to seeing mediums deliver a message from deceased loved ones. But what I feel that the way forward is as well is for mediums to have the confidence to deliver the wisdom and insight they're getting from the higher intelligences.
Absolutely. That's my passion as well. I am a medium. There, I've said it. But I think what I really enjoy is the higher information. But I don't think there's original thought in the universe.
No.
I think the universe contains everything we need to know, and we can tap in anywhere we want to go.
And so how do you experience that? Do you experience it like I do as spirit intelligences, spirit guides, spirit teachers, or...
Do you know what? I never thought... I don't know. I see energy, so I'll see... When people that have passed come in, I'll see them clear as day. They talk to me, but it's in my...
So when you say you see them in your mind's eye.
I see them clairvoyantly,
and you hear them
clairsentient,
so like me,
and clairaudient. I'm not clairgustant,
right?
Which I like to call clairsmellient. I didn't know what the word was, but I don't smell. I don't have that.
I do.
Do you?
Yeah, I've never had clair scent is when you smell, isn't it? Clairgustance is taste.
It's gustant taste. What's
Taste.
smell?
It's clairsense.
Clairsense,
as in a scent of perfume.
Oh, clairsentient.
And yeah, I'm the same. So
okay.
I'm clear sensing.
Okay.
Clairsentient. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're the same. So clairvoyant we see within the mind's eye.
Yeah.
Clairaudient we hear within the mind, and clairsentient we sense.
Yeah, and feel. Yeah.
So you're like me. So I put it together like I always describe it like a game of charades, where I'm trying to put the pieces together like a charade and then interpret the information I'm getting and see if it makes sense to the recipient.
Yeah. I'll get information quite direct. Oh, our styles are different, aren't they? I'm quite
very different styles, but
it works together.
Does, yeah.
But I'm a bit more I don't know. I should maybe not deliver. I wouldn't say it's a blunt message, but if I hear it, I'll just say it.
Yeah, but I love that, you know, because
some people go,
honesty. Well, you know.
But I don't do platform, only with Claire, and I've done it once before in Epsom. So.
And you're actually very good at it. Your evidence is phenomenal, but I think it's just having the confidence to stand and I've been trained to stand in front of people and teach.
Yes.
You've learned organically.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Tish is saying, I find channeling is even more difficult to prove. Well, actually, Tish, I've got to say that in the book I've just written now, What the Dead Are Dying to Teach Us, I write about how Kathy opened up my eyes to reincarnation and the validity of channeling, because where you're different from what a lot of channelers are, is that you seem to be able to bring it bang up to date with what's going on now. And that's the difference. So you were able to connect with Kathy connected with higher intelligences, spirit guides, and you were bringing through wisdom and knowledge about past lives that we cannot prove. How can we prove that? No. Except for that you then tied it in with everyone in my life now. So she told me about people in a past life and who's with me now, their names, what the roles they had, their personalities, why we'd come together now. And so I was left with an option of, well, if I can accept all that as truth, how can I dismiss the other? And I thought that was a fascinating way of working, because most people, if you just do like a past life regression, say, you can't prove what you're getting. There's trust there, isn't there? Or the personal experience of having it and just knowing it was so real to you, you're going to trust it. But the actual evidence is very difficult to prove.
Can I say, I won't go too much into it because it's a bit out there. But some of my channel I've had, we work with a group of, it's a hobby. So this is nothing to do with what my work, it's a hobby. But it's in Glastonbury. And I was given some very, very, very specific channeled information. And we went and we found it. And the two girls that are doing this with us were just gobsmacked, and it's just happened over and over and over again. But so then I don't know it needs to be proved because it's original. I think I like to think it's a great big, like the Akashic Records, just a great big wealth of information, and it's all there for us. I just think my antenna's just a little bit more tuned in. A bit
like Edgar Cayce, because he could obviously travel, the Sleeping Prophet, couldn't he, in his mind into those records. And that fascinates me. And that brings me on to the fact you're talking about Glastonbury.
Yeah.
You know, what are your thoughts on the fact that perhaps when you channel it could be extraterrestrial contact?
Yeah.
A lot of people ask that.
Yeah.
I know it's a bit weirdy-woo, but to me, the spirit world, spirit beings are not living on the earth. So it could be argued they're extraterrestrial.
Multidimensional.
That's much better.
I don't believe in alien...
No.
I don't believe in, you know, that grey aliens are going to come and abduct me out of my bed.
Right.
Do people get abducted? Probably.
Right.
Who knows? Does that make sense?
Or
but
are they seeing it in a perception?
Or they're perceiving it that way, yeah. It's fascinating.
Yeah, because I can remember saying to somebody once who said to me they know they'd seen alien because they'd seen orbs flying around them, whizzing around. And I was saying, but I see spirit like that.
Yeah.
So how do we decipher what is... E.T. and what is spirit? I mean, it becomes very blurred, actually, and I think they kind of come together, don't they, in a way?
Well, it's just a different frequency, because I'm really working on frequency at the moment. So, fear frequency, I've written about this on my blog. Fear frequency is a low frequency. It's got the same hertz frequency as a tiger's roar, actual fear. So, if we can transcend and enlighten our frequency, fear does not have to exist.
No.
So it's frequency, vibration, sound, light.
And it's intent, actually, isn't it?
And intent,
Because when you say that resonates, because I don't hold any fear of opening my mind up to spirit dimensions. But how many people out there, I'm sure many of you have had that query thinking, if I open myself up to loved ones, am I opening the door to something I can't cope with? Yeah, exactly.
See, and I don't believe in dark or light, because you cannot have dark without light, and you can have light without dark. So dark really is just a shadow where the light hasn't penetrated.
Yeah, and it's a bit, I absolutely on the same thing. It's a bit like when the pendulum swings, it's going to go that way and come back, isn't it? You've got to have the yin and the yang, the balance. Yeah. There's dark within us.
Of course there is.
There's light within us, and it's how we focus on, or what our intent is, what we want to tune into, to be in alignment with. For me, I always feel if my heart, intelligence, if my heart's in the right place, then I'm going to attract to me those of a like mind.
Like vibration.
Yeah, just like in this world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it? Like attracts like. I mean, there's some...
I mean, I will do a Ouija.
Me too!
I love a Ouija board.
Oh, come round again. We'll have to do another one.
We should do, shouldn't we? And see what goes on the screen.
Yeah. Oh, would you be up for that, guys? What about
people go, right, so Ouija is scary. I don't think it is. I think you can protect yourself. I'm fully into that. But it's if there's anything that's going to come in that is what is called untoward, I don't think it can. That's just me, because I'm not afraid of it. If you're putting fear into a Ouija board, there's going to be fear that resonates back.
And I think if you're just throwing a door open and just saying, "Oh, is anybody there?" You're opening a door. I mean, you wouldn't just open your front door and say, "Hey, anyone, come in." You wouldn't, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
So it is about setting the intention, setting the boundaries. You own your power strongly. Yes. So do I.
Yeah.
So we're not going to have any crap.
No, not going to have any messing about.
No, and we've got spirit people who are working with us, and I know that there's a follower of my page called David, who I sat in development with, and he's always warned me about the Ouija, because he does spirit release.
Yeah,
and
I do as well.
Right. So it is, and and he says to me, if you're not mentally well and healthy, then really you shouldn't go there.
Yeah.
And I think I'm in alignment with that.
Yeah, no, that's because that's a perception as well.
Again.
It's same with ayahuasca. So the soul vine that people take to get this spiritual, I suppose, awakening. And I haven't sworn. I'm a terrible swearer. I'm just going to be honest. But if you take ayahuasca, what happens? I don't know if anyone's aware of ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca, yeah. The spirit molecule that opens DMT in your brain. Yeah.
I'm a massive purist, so I will not advocate any of that. So, but anything that makes you have diarrhea and vomiting, to me, it's not a good thing.
Well, the thing is, I think the crux of it is that the DMT and spirit molecule opens the pineal gland, or stimulates it, and so you have an experience where you can do that anyway with meditation.
Absolutely. Some people say that the meditation route is like the tricycle, and ayahuasca is the Ferrari. I've been
I don't mind a tricycle.
Me either.
I'm not.
You can take ayahuasca homeopathically, actually.
Right, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'll tell you very quickly. I took it homeopathically, so it wasn't. So I took it for about 2 days. I had a dream where this is where I might lose a few of you. I was in a bathtub and I went through a wall. I became the wall, so I actually morphed into material essence. And on the other side of this wall was a 6-foot salmon wearing a waistcoat and a monocle. Right, I know. But however, we talked about soul, and he said, I have a soul.
Soul, the fish.
No, soul as in I have a soul, yeah.
Okay.
So after that day...
That makes sense.
I was a pescatarian at the time. I've not eaten fish since.
Oh, don't.
So I'm a vegetarian completely.
Oh, okay, wow.
So that really...
And actually, that's what's interesting, is it actually changed your behaviour.
It changed my behaviour.
So, we were talking earlier about the science behind it.
Yes.
Not getting off the fish story, but, grounding the fish story, maybe.
Yeah.
What is it that what's the science that you've been involved with, or the scientists that you've been in contact with? What's their take on all of what you do?
So we're, a lot of them are in alignment. I'm talking to people on LinkedIn who, I don't know if a lot of you know that the RAF, or the American RAF, whatever they're called, American Army, or they put out a video of a UFO. We're not allowed to say unidentified flying object anymore.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's called an extra biological entity or something like that. So it's an EBE, which is the alien, and the UFO is called something else now.
Okay.
But this was the military that were chasing. It's called Tic Tac. So if you want to look on YouTube, it's fascinating. And it was moving at thousands and thousands of miles an hour. It stopped dead. Okay. And then did a 90-degree angle. So nothing in our known universe can behave like that.
Okay.
So I'm interested in probably reverse engineering, moving beyond physics. We just don't know anything. And our spectrum of sight, so we see 0.1% of our universe.
Yeah.
So there's 99.99 we don't see because we haven't got awareness or sight spectrum to see it.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
And when you think about cats and dogs, they're picking up on a much wider frequency, aren't they, in the electromagnetic spectrum than us?
Yes.
And we know that they're, receiving stimulus that we can't.
Absolutely.
So, it isn't too far out there to understand. If you can only see that much of the universe, that there's a whole lot more. Yeah. And obviously not to mention dark matter and all of that.
Love dark matter.
I know. And did you hear on the news the other day they were saying that once a scientist is saying that dark matter might have actually existed before the Big Bang.
Yeah, so this is older universes, string theory. So
God, we're going all over.
I know, sorry.
No, it's right.
Can I just say about channeling?
Yeah.
One of the things, I'm not an advocate of channels that channel a 13th century Chinese man and talk in that accent. I'm not on board with that, but that's my perception, because I do know that a lot of people that channel in that way come up with great information, but for me it's just coming through me rather than absorbing the essence of someone else.
I work in the same way. So when I sit in trance, I feel spirit coming really close to me.
Yeah, I get that feeling.
Yeah. And it's like they become me.
Yes.
It's called overshadowing.
Okay.
And the closer they come and blend with my mind, the more I become them. So I can see why it is that some mediums take on the personality.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't
either.
The articulation of what I'm saying changes.
Yes.
Interestingly.
Yeah.
So the words I use, I failed GCSE twice, so I'm not, particularly. I've written books and it makes me laugh, know. But when I'm channeling or in trance, same thing to me.
Same thing, yeah.
It isn't technically, but it is. I'm not changing. I'm not disappearing.
No.
I think mediums of old seem to go into a much deeper state of trance, and mediums these days seem to be able to be in a more light trance state.
I think that's because the Earth frequencies have shifted as well.
Right.
So the Schumann frequency of the Earth has shot up in the last 5 years particularly. So we're rotating quicker, and I just think that's lifting the frequency of the planet. So we maybe don't need to hit that deeper sort of theta states, because I think we're in direct contact all the time, aren't we, really?
Well, we are spirit. How can we not be?
It's us,
you
isn't
know?
it?
Yeah, exactly. I'm seeing all these questions coming up. So I'm
being
saying
negligent.
No, I'm just making sure I'm checking. I keep seeing little flashing orbs around you. I've also seen somebody ask what percentage of ayahuasca did you take in your
Homeopathically, 30cc medicating potency.
Right.
It was really, you don't have any reaction other than obviously I needed to give up eating fish at that point.
And there are definitely scientific trials going on where they're using DMT without all of that nasty side effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is proven. You can, go on to Amazon and learn about all of this. What does the spirit look like? That's a good question.
Higher spirit. So if I see higher spirit, it's going to be more ethereal. It's got a translucent crystalline quality, and I see it, again, this is my perception, as filaments of light, often gold with silver. We're turning into dolphin blues coming in a lot of higher frequency as well. But that's how I see it. But if someone's granddad come in, I'll see them as that person.
Yeah.
Do yours always come in a bit younger?
Yes, they throw me.
I love that, because when I pass, I'm not coming through as an old bag. I'm coming through when I was at my prime.
No. Yeah, often, sometimes when deceased loved ones, or disincarnate loved ones, I'd rather say, come around me and I become aware of them, they show themselves much younger than they were.
I get that as well, yeah.
Because who can blame them? That's
we're all going to do it.
And it trips you up sometimes, because you start describing someone younger, and then I'll say, I've got your mother here and she's showing herself in her 40s or whatever, and the client will say to me, no, that she was 90 when she died.
Yeah.
And then I have to obviously say, this will be why. This will be why.
Yes.
Lots of interest. The when we go back at the end of this video and have a look at all the comments and respond to them all, because we are covering such vast amounts here, I can just we haven't, because so many people are coming up with homeopathy here, channeling, the DMT. It's all part of the same thing.
Absolutely.
Greater awareness.
Yeah.
And so what really Kathy and I wanted to get out of this video to share with you, despite the fact we've gone all over the place, is really start us questioning, what is consciousness?
What is consciousness?
That's the question, isn't it? And we can't answer that for you, because even scientists can't answer that. I find it fascinating that...
there's consciousness.
Right.
I was talking to a professor, so I've just been in Wiltshire. I'm a big crop circle person. So I was talking to a professor of physics, and he says there's consciousness and then consciousness, because there are so many levels of consciousness that to clump it all in as just consciousness is doing it a slight disservice. So there's even hierarchical states of consciousness.
Wow, how interesting.
Yeah.
I'm of that view here of also you talking about the scientists that I also met a scientist in Cambridge University.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he was talking to me about the different realities and different levels of how we describe or understand what consciousness is.
Absolutely.
Because they're coming up with theories now to try and explain what might happen at the end of death.
Yeah.
So Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff have come up with a theory, the Or theory, to suggest that maybe when we die, packets of consciousness return into the quantum.
Like data.
Packets
of data.
I mean, whether that's true or not, we don't know, but I mean, it's exciting that scientists are even thinking in that way, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we've gone from binary, which is a 2 system, into they're using what's called qubit, so QUBIT. So they're making quantum computers now that will work so much faster because it's exponential. They fractalize the information, so the packets of data get smaller and smaller, but the smaller the data becomes, it's a carbon copy of the original data. So,
and I mean, going off piece to bit,
again,
but is that there's science out there that says that we can hold all the information in the universe within our DNA?
Absolutely.
Right. See, this is where we just don't know, do we? We just don't know. And I'm trying to, in my work, and I know you're doing the same, break down the mould, get people thinking wider, get us understanding, and I know many of you out there the same, that reality isn't what it seems, that death is an illusion.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
consciousness in some way, shape and form, although we don't understand it, can continue. Yeah. It's just a continuum. And reality, I mean, it inspires me to live my best life, because life is awesome. And let's face it, when in this world it gets tough and makes no sense, and we lose loved ones, and there is no meaning behind it, and the tragedy of it. You know, sometimes you just want to understand it, and you can't, can you?
No.
So I think sometimes just having that understanding that there's more, that we don't understand it, that science actually hasn't written this off, no matter what you might hear and what the cynics and deniers say, it just isn't true. In fact, I just want to take this point to point people to the Society for Psychical Research website, because they've set up their own version of Wikipedia. I don't know if you know this, guys, because Wikipedia gets shut down. If you're Googling on there any of this stuff, you won't find it.
No.
So the SPR have set up their own Wikipedia version of all this information, with all the science that's available, all the research that's out there, the peer-reviewed stuff that we're talking about. It sounds like we're out there and and we're not.
No,
we're on the fringe of something new here.
I mean, to read about, I'm a massive reader, so I love to read, I always have. So alchemy, esoteric hermeticism, all of this stuff is just the tiny strands of truth in the bigger truth.
Right.
But it's all perception. I don't want to take away anyone's pain that have lost, because we're saying that, you know, it's a perception, but when you lose someone, that pain's real.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Isn't it? It's just like crushing.
And that loved one's real.
Yeah, absolutely. And people say to me, how long does grieving gets easier?
I'm
not sure if it does.
I think
it
just learn to live with it, don't you?
It becomes sacred, doesn't it? But for someone to say, stop, just get over it, it's terrible.
No. And for me, I look at it like this, guys, that death ends a life, it doesn't end a relationship. Your love continues on. Your grief is an expression of that love, because you're missing someone. And so you can sometimes get stuck in it. And the purpose of this information, and why Kathy and I put our necks on the line really and make ourselves look like complete nutters sometimes,
That's all right.
is because we're trying to help people move past the grief that you can get stuck in, to realise, like you say, you learn to live with the grief, because you understand there is more that continues on, and it's a new level, a new relationship, new type of understanding you have to build.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think?
No, absolutely. And I know that a lot of you have probably felt loved ones around you, or had an experience like robins and feathers. And
exactly.
These are all very real phenomena.
Absolutely.
To hone the mind, because I'm big into synchronicity. I don't believe in coincidence. When your life is working in a synchronized way, I think we're open.
Yeah, and I believe, like you were saying, that we got to take the power back.
Absolutely.
I believe it was now my brain's just gone. J.B. Ryan, who's the father of parapsychology. He said that mind over matter is proven because I just lifted my arm. And and there you have it. You know, our mind is controlling our reality. So even though we've come into a physical reality, and that we are restricted by that. And part of that is suffering, because we feel pain. At the same token, we can choose how we respond to that pain and suffering, because our mind has influence over it.
Absolutely. The mind is everything.
Absolutely.
The mind is everything.
And that's the bit that goes on. The love, the emotions, the awareness. I almost want to say awareness rather than mind.
Yeah. Well, I practice mindfulness unmindfulness meditation. I'm trying to get away from the mental constriction into a much more expansive view of the universe. Because we don't know we don't know
we don't.
A tiny percentage of it. We think we do.
We think we do. And we're getting there. We're pretty awesome. But nowhere near as much as perhaps we might. Since my husband passed over, I get so many signs from Spirit, which I love.
Good.
I love that, Val. Trust that communication, because this is what Kathy's saying. It's coming to your mind. Your mind is being drawn to those signs so that you pay attention to them to get the communication through. I'm here. There's more. And many people say to me, "Is my loved one in the robin?" You know, I don't believe they are. I believe that the loved one has
sent that.
Put an impression on your mind that you then look at it.
Yeah.
You know, this is it. I've got Rupert Sheldrake. He's done a lot of scientific research into how people that are stared at turn round.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I think in spirit, they focus their attention on you. You then stare, look at what's there, and you see the robin.
Yeah.
Or the feather.
Yeah.
Or that's the way I understand it. It isn't that the spirit are in the robin. Robin's got its own spirit. Yeah. It's that your disincarnate loved one is doing the same as what Rupert Sheldrake was saying about when humans stare at other humans, we seem to know, and drawing your attention.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, there's another aspect to this that I can't divulge because obviously client confidentiality, but I did have a client whose daughter passed very young.
Okay.
And so she came to me, her daughter came through, beautiful woman, this obviously in pain because it had only been about 2 months.
Oh.
Same age as your daughter now.
No,
so
just breaks
you
my
just
heart.
couldn't.
Yeah. No.
So what happened was she wanted her mum to put a Christmas tree up. So it was around October. And this poor woman was like, I don't think I can. But she did for her daughter.
Oh.
But what happened was when she had all the Christmas decks out, in the middle of the floor there was a folded up note. And as she went to pick that note, she opened it up and it was an actual handwritten letter from her daughter that hadn't existed before. And so she texted me and I just went, you have been given a miracle. Because I think
amazing.
Sometimes spirit can give us physical...
I totally agree. Absolutely they
physical material things.
I've seen those things.
Yeah. Well, I had I was working a long time ago and I had I was starting to have a bit of... we all have this where we spiritually sometimes go, you know what, I've had enough.
Oh, yeah.
So I got in my car and there was a fairy coin. As some of you don't know, but some of you do. You know I'm kind of not fairy type.
No.
And there was this fairy coin. So I went to Quest and said to Caroline, I went, why'd you shove that thing through my window? She went, I didn't. So that was, and literally the coin said, I believe.
Wow.
So I had to take that.
Do you know what happened to me? Got just like tit for tat. So it's so
right.
fascinating.
Yeah.
When this is what I love when mediums can get together and say, "Did you have that? Did you have that?" It helps you, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
I shared it on my page actually, but at Christmas I was sitting around the table with my girls. And my youngest one said to me, do you really believe in signs, Mummy? Surely it's wishful thinking.
Yeah, okay, right.
It might have
critical mind, that's okay.
Yeah, well, I encourage that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm glad you're thinking.
Yeah.
At least you're not just accepting or believing, you're thinking. Anyway, she said to me, well, I'm not sure, maybe the wind can bring...
Yeah.
She said, people tell me feathers are signs, I'm not sure. It could have just dropped off a bird. So I said, just don't ignore the signs. And I slammed my hand down on the table, and we'd been sitting there 2 hours.
Yeah.
And when I lifted it up, there's this great big white feather. Now, my spirit guide goes by the name of White Feather, and there was this white feather.
Yeah.
And we were all like, oh,
yeah.
because we knew full well that hadn't been there.
No, absolutely. You can't deny these.
No.
Excuse me, these.
And then you hear of all sorts of apports, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pennies dropping.
Yeah, pennies dropping, crystals moving under the bed.
Well, I've witnessed that with you.
Yeah.
I have seen trumpets flying, mediums trumpets flying. I've seen instruments played independently. Yeah. I've heard voices independently. I mean, now I'm going to sound quite like I'm out there, but I mean, all I can say to you is I'm very logical. So I'm questioning, okay, what was that? Is it spirit? Is it telekinesis?
Yeah.
Was it human? Yeah. But it happened.
Yes.
So I know this phenomena exists.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, I still sometimes, even my brain goes,
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, and that's natural. I think for all of us, it's natural to question reality.
Yeah.
But reality as we think it is. Even more.
Well, yeah. And I think it's quite interesting for people out there. Often people say to me, it's so interesting that you say you doubt, Claire, and that you're not sure and you don't know. That's
good, though, because I think if you question, you're always going to be evolving. Because there are some mediums that don't question.
Right.
Just going to say it. They don't. So we have to evolve.
Yeah.
And spirit information is evolving, I think. It's starting to become
I don't think spirit can get through. I think that as we grow in awareness and understanding, then the spirit world can use that. They almost can't tell us something that's not there and available for us that our brain could understand.
Right.
So unless we keep feeling that, great medium Gordon Higginson, who was president of the SNU for years, he used to teach that you need to fill your brain with information, otherwise how can the spirit world use you as a tool? So, and I'm really behind that. I think we do need to keep thinking, questioning, and not be afraid as well to say, I might have got this wrong. Perhaps science does know something I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it does.
But not be so identified with our position, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I went to the Glastonbury Symposium and I saw a woman, she's a physicist, and she actually proved that Einstein was wrong. And there was a big gasp. The whole place went, and she went, I've said it.
Okay.
So it was very interesting and she said because there was kind of a dogmatic view with him. Okay. He didn't question his own research. And she showed us categorically that, but there was this great big gasp in the room, like,
it almost
how dare you?
This is where you can actually see that whole belief of scientism is a thing, isn't it? Because
absolutely.
We do actually, I would never say anything against Einstein.
No, I love his work, but she was just saying that there is a different
thing. In her research.
Yeah. And maybe Newton and both Einstein were both wrong. Maybe there's something else.
Or maybe they were right, but we just keep peeling back the layers of the onion.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, from their viewpoint, they're not wrong, but perhaps there is more deeper understanding.
Well, there's no right or wrong anyway, is there?
Well, no, that's another conversation. Isn't it? We're going all the way.
Yeah, we are. We've tangented.
I hope you're enjoying this conversation, guys. How long have we been going? We're going about an hour now, so probably we should wrap up.
Let you go and have your tea. Was going to just show them the aura.
Yeah, go for it.
So, anyone that's still watching, if you relax your eyes, I don't know if it's going to work in this capacity, but it might. If you really, really relax your eyes and just look just slightly above my head, you kind of have to, those Magic 8 books in the 80s, it was almost about your eyes being quite unfocused. And you should start to see what's called the etheric band layer of the aura just around my head. I could probably, if you watch my finger, I don't know if you can put your hand and... So if you look in between... Nice nails.
Thank you.
Putting my hands to shame. Okay, so if we pull our fingers apart, you should start to see stranding. We pull that apart? Ooh, I can see that. So you'll see strands of light. The lights are quite bright. If we were a bit dimmer, you would probably see it a bit better.
Yeah.
But
Graydon is saying, for Kathy, what is the best technique to call up your own healing?
Oh, that's a great question. So for me, I use, I suppose, the higher multi-dimensional energies. I'll very quickly say this. God, it's like we've opened a can of worms. I have Lyme disease, so I got bitten by a tick in 1986, and I've had Lyme disease for about 30 years. Everyone else that's had it from the tick species have been very ill. And I had, how do I call it? I suppose a visitation or a higher energy that came through and literally put a suction, in dream state, lucid dream, whatever you want to call it, in my arm, draw my blood out and put it back in. And I woke up, thought that was a great dream. But as I woke up, I had a huge bruise all round.
Oh, wow.
And then Dee said you pinched yourself in your sleep. So ever the pragmatist. So I tend to use higher instruction. I'll get my own homeopathic remedies given in if I need anything. And I truly believe that we can heal ourselves from anything. I really do. If you can I use Rife frequencies as well. So I don't know if any of you are aware of Raymond Rife.
No,
so there's frequencies that you can use for Lyme, chronic fatigue, pain. And the belief system is if you can transcend the lower vibration and change it to a higher one, the disease cannot exist. It's a bit more complicated than that. So I use frequency. There's a miracle hertz frequency. I think is 583 hertz. You can look at all of this on YouTube.
Wow.
I've written about this on my website as well. Okay. So
and
I'm a blogger.
Have you heard of Bruce Lipton's work?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's all about belief, isn't he?
Yes.
And that I do believe that we live in a physical world. So pathogens,
So do I.
pathogens get
I'm
in, don't they?
here, yeah, absolutely.
So pathogens get in. That's no one's fault.
No, and there is karma that's involved in life path.
Right. Okay.
Just to add it all in.
So this is fascinating for me. I know we need to finish, but you are an aura sensor.
Yes.
So when you're putting your hands over somebody's energy field, their electromagnetic field is how I describe it.
It's called the bioplasmic field.
Right.
So,
Okay. When you're putting your hands over there, what do you feel and sense? What informs you? How do you get?
I'll get information. So I've got a client who, she's lovely, and she just wants spirit and her mum, which is fine. So that's what we do. Okay. But I do tend to sometimes push it a little bit because she sees me. I'm her therapy, which is fine.
Okay.
And I did a body scan. I went, "You've got a cyst in your liver."
Right.
And she went, "Oh God, okay." So she spent about 500 quid on one of those body scans, and it came back. The woman said, "You've got a cyst on your liver," and this woman said, "I'm just going to go and see Kathy then." And they were laughing, and even they said, maybe we don't need these scanners that are absolutely bombarding us with electromagnetic frequency. So it comes as a message or a feeling.
Okay.
So usually, if there's what I call a denser part of the frequency, it will feel denser, colder.
Okay.
And cold tends to mean frozen energy. So, and I mean this in an emotional way as well.
Right.
Because I'll clear emotional trauma through the auric field. It's more complicated than this, and I don't want to do it disservice.
No, of course.
So
I'm thinking as I'm listening to you that on our own pages, really, we could be breaking this down into smaller chunks and covering all of this. So if when you've watched this video, if there's things you want to know about, give us some ideas about videos we can do, because both Kathy and I are creating content anyway for our YouTube channels and from Facebook, because like you say, actually what we've done is a whistle-stop tour here.
Yeah, we've thrown so much into this.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even got down to the nitty-gritty of the actual teachings and the channeling, because you were telling me that you were receiving scientific formula from your spirit guides.
Yeah, so I'll do it really quickly because I'm very conscious of your time. So I've got a client who's written down every single session we've had. It's been higher vibrational understanding, and she's put it on what's called Mind Map. And there is stuff in there that I can't believe. I mean, when I read it, I think, God, I sound actually quite bright. And we read it and we'll go, wow, we sound really intelligent. But I've been given scientific formula.
Right.
That I don't know. I like physics, but I am no mathematician.
No.
And I've been given actual formulas that I've given to physicists who've gone, okay, where did you get that from? But again, I'm not special. I'm just going to tell you that now. I just think my antenna is up into the knowledge. Because I believe it ought to be just a sphere of knowledge.
Absolutely. And my work really is to get, one of my passions is to get other people empowered and to make people realise the only reason you and I have gone down this route and dedicated our life to developing this because we had an experience from a younger age that opened our eyes to it. Yeah. But we can all, to some degree or other, learn to be in tune.
Yeah. We've all got it.
Yeah,
every single one of us.
I don't see myself as special at all.
No,
I have to be.
Once ego comes into this field, and we've both seen it.
Yeah.
I think the connection's lost because it's going into the mind. Because ego mind is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
There's a saying, isn't there, that the ego is the anaesthesia to dull the pain of stupidity.
All right.
So I'm very mindful of being very humble. Yeah. And this is all of our information.
Absolutely, which is why we're giving it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a great way to end it, I think. My teacher, Sheila Thomas, she used to teach me, when I step in, spirit steps out.
Yeah.
That's my motto.
Yeah, makes sense.
So if you want to know more about Kathy, where should we go to find out?
So my live Facebook feed just went. So I'm Kathy Mingo on Facebook. I do need to tell you that social media for me is a paradox. I don't like the banality of it, but I have started what's called Consciousness TV. So we can get some of this information out there and cut through some of the vacuous stuff. And my website is www.kathymingo.com. So come along. I write blogs. Some of it's about holographic universe. Some of it's quite out there. But
yeah. And some of it, I'm guessing, is,
mums and dads and mediumship. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you want to learn more about me, then my website, www.clairebroad.com, my Facebook page at Claire Broad Mediumship. I have a YouTube channel called Together with Spirit, because I like to think we're coming with a bit of energy,
Absolutely.
a bit of spirit about all this. Yeah, exactly. It's a play on words. And really, both of us are driven to try and share the knowledge we've been given, because when this is just part of your everyday life, and we're both very normal, you don't realise just how much wisdom you're gaining.
Oh, massive amounts, yeah.
And it's only when you look back and you realise that there's some people who have their mind blown just in the realisation that when a loved one dies, they can try and get signs through.
Yeah.
That you think how far you've come in your understanding,
yeah.
and how much wisdom we need to share.
Yeah.
So anytime you want to do this with me,
I've
I'm open.
loved this, actually.
It's been brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, pat ourselves on the back.
You might not be so, but we've enjoyed it.
Fun.
No, it's and it's you can tell that there's passion.
Passion.
And we've got the same passion
it's
for...
the same frequency, isn't it?
Yeah.
Different knowledge, different way of working, but the same...
Yeah.
Same drive.
Coming from the same core.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone as well for listening, by the way.
Thank you so much for being with us, and interact with us. We love to know you're out there. This community is so special.
Very.
So thank you again, everyone. Have a lovely evening, day, whatever time you're watching this. Lots of love.
Thank you.
Bye.